I sold my apartment to pay for her lavish wedding, and she told guests he's probably just the backup son. Just before the ceremony, my sister whispered, "It's so cute that you think you matter today." I leaned in, then watch what happens when I stop. Then hit play on the video. Halfway through, the screen glitched, accidentally revealing a file she thought was deleted back in 2015. Within minutes, 54 people quietly left the party. "I think it's so cute," my sister whispered, her champagne breath warm against my cheek, "that you think you matter today." Her veil brushed my shoulder as she turned to flash a perfect smile at the camera crew, the ones I paid for. My jaw clenched, but I didn't move. I just watched her glide toward the altar in a gown that cost more than I made in 4 months. That gown? My money. The 5-tier cake? My money. The peacocks in the garden? Also me. I'd sold my apartment, my 1-bedroom, my safe place, my only real asset, so Ava could have her dream wedding. She said the budget was tight, that mom and dad couldn't possibly afford everything, and that she'd pay me back after the honeymoon. I didn't even ask for that. I just said, "Whatever you need." That's what you do for family, right? Except apparently, family means different things to different people. Because when I approached the reception table, my aunt leaned over and said, "Oh, it's sweet Ava invited you. She said you were like the backup son." Backup son. Like I was the understudy in my own family. The one they dust off when the golden child needs a favor. The invisible sibling who only exists when there's a crisis or a credit card bill. Then came the moment that changed everything. She leaned in again, right before the ceremony started, her lip gloss catching the light. "It's honestly adorable how hard you're trying today," she whispered with a giggle. "But this is my day, not yours. So maybe don't embarrass yourself by pretending otherwise." I smiled, leaned in too. "Then watch what happens," I said softly, when I stopped pretending. And with that, I gave the AV guy the cue. He pressed play. The screen behind the altar flickered, a slideshow of childhood photos, like everyone expected. But halfway through, something glitched. A file popped up, old, grainy, and very much not part of the plan. Ava's smile faded. Her mouth dropped open. And within minutes, 54 people got up and left. Let me back up. I'm 32. Name's Daniel. And up until a month ago, I owned a 540-square-foot apartment on the edge of the city, nothing glamorous, but mine. Hardwood floors, a view of the alley, and a leaky faucet I fixed myself. That place was my one constant. My sanctuary. The only thing I built without anyone's help. Ava is 28, and she's been the crown jewel of our family since the day she figured out how to cry on command. Perfect grades, perfect smile, perfect lies. She played violin for 6 weeks in 4th grade, and mom still brags about it like she toured with Yo-Yo Ma. I've always been the shadow sibling. Quiet, responsible, boring. The one who picked them up from the airport, lent money without being asked, and got thanks only when a crowd was watching. When Ava got engaged, it was obvious what would happen. "I want the wedding to feel magical," she said on our parents' back patio, drinking rose like she'd invented it. "But the budget is tight." Mom gave a theatrical sigh. "We've already spent so much on her engagement party, and the ring insurance, and her bridal yoga retreat." Dad added, "Daniel, you're good with money, right? You don't have a family to support yet, right?" "No family. Just a mortgage, bills, and the student loan debt I never complained about." They didn't ask. They assumed. So I sold it, put my apartment on the market, liquidated my small savings, and handed over $68,400 so my little sister could have live musicians, monogrammed silk napkins, and a sunset ceremony at the estate where Netflix once filmed a crime drama. Ava cried, hugged me, called me the best big brother in the world. That lasted 4 days. Then came the meetings I wasn't invited to. The group chats I was mysteriously left out of. I'd ask questions, "Do you still need me to handle the florist invoice?" And get responses like, "Oh, Todd's taking care of that." Todd, her fiancé. The guy who once asked if Brussels was a city or a type of salad. They started treating me like a vendor. No, worse, like a nuisance. But I didn't say anything. I bit my tongue. I kept showing up, kept writing checks, kept watching them treat Todd's groomsmen like royalty and me like I was their Uber driver. And then came the file. It was 3 a.m. 2 nights before the wedding. I was at home, or rather, on my friend Aaron's couch, because remember, I'd sold my place, and I was scrolling through an old family hard drive, trying to find some pictures of Ava and me as kids for the slideshow. She'd asked for something sweet. That's when I found it. The folder was called Private, Do Not Open. Of course I opened it. There were a dozen videos. Mostly teenage Ava being dramatic, crying over bad eyebrows, ranting about college rejections. I was about to delete it when I clicked on the last file, dated 2015, and what I saw made my stomach flip. It was a blurry clip. Ava, her voice unmistakable, in a room with a guy who wasn't Todd, shirtless. She was laughing about something horrible, laughing about the personal tragedy Julia went through. I mean, she acts like losing a clump of cells is a tragedy, Ava sneered on the video. At least she won't have to build a future with someone who never supported her in the first place. My hands went cold. This wasn't just gossip. This wasn't teenage cruelty. This was Ava at 20. Cold, calculated, cruel. And suddenly, everything snapped into focus. How she manipulated our parents. How she turned every failure into someone else's fault. How she always landed on her feet because someone else was holding her up. That's when I decided I wasn't going to be silent anymore. They wanted a magical wedding? Then let them see who was really under the veil. They thought I would smile, nod, maybe offer some sweet brotherly toast that ended with applause and forced hugs. They had no idea what was coming. I walked up to the microphone like I was sleepwalking. Calm. Measured. But every step pulsed with rage I'd buried for years. Ava sat at the head table under a chandelier that probably cost more than my car, her manicured hand curled around a champagne flute. She watched me with that smug little half-smile, the one she always wore when she thought she'd won. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, my voice echoing slightly through the grand ballroom. "I won't take much of your time." The room hushed instantly. Everyone stared. My father nodded proudly. My mother dabbed the corner of her eye. The crowd expected a tribute, a laugh, a tear. "I just want to say," I continued, "that family means different things to different people. Some of us think it means sacrifice, loyalty, showing up when no one else does." I looked straight at Ava. "And some of us," I said slowly, "think it means taking everything without ever saying thank you." A ripple went through the room. I turned and nodded to the AV technician. He pressed play. The screen behind me flickered to life. For a few seconds, it looked like the typical wedding montage, baby photos, childhood birthdays, school dances. The usual fluff. People smiled. Some sighed sentimentally. Then the screen glitched. Black. And then it began. A grainy video. Recorded in 2015. Ava sitting on a bed, swirling red wine in a glass, talking to someone off camera. Her voice clear as glass. "Honestly, Julia keeps acting like she lost everything. But maybe it was a blessing in disguise. Imagine raising a kid with that man." She got off lucky. "Some people," she said, "aren't fit to raise children, especially not the ones who grieve in public. Especially not the ones who treat every minor win like a red carpet moment." The room froze. I saw my cousin Julia's hand fly to her mouth. Her husband stood up, fist clenched. My mother gasped. On screen, Ava laughed again, loud, unfiltered, ugly. That child would have faced a lot of challenges from the start. Maybe this was fate stepping in. She dodged a bullet. Gasps. A few people actually shouted. And Ava, live, in real time, shot up from her seat like she'd been electrocuted. "Turn it OFF," she shrieked. "Daniel, what is this?" But the video kept playing. Her voice, so familiar to me, now felt like acid. She keeps acting like no one's ever gone through something hard. Honestly, some people just turn every setback into a spotlight. I turned back to the microphone. "That's who you're toasting tonight," I said quietly. "That's the real Ava." Chairs screeched. People started standing. Some just shook their heads and walked out. Others glared at Ava like she was something stuck to their shoes. Cousin Julia stormed past the head table. Her husband muttered, "Disgusting," loud enough for everyone to hear. Ava tried to speak, to control it, spin it, explain, but no one was listening anymore. "You planned this," she hissed at me as she lunged from the head table, her heels catching on the tulle of her dress. "You're right, I did," I said, not flinching. "I gave you everything. And all you gave me was humiliation. You called me a backup son to my face." People were filming now. Dad finally stood, red-faced, shaking. "Daniel, that's enough." "No," I snapped, louder now. "You don't get to say when it's enough. You didn't say anything when she called me a placeholder in this family. When she smiled and let me sell my apartment so she could parade around like a princess. When she whispered in my ear, today, that it was cute, that I thought it mattered." Murmurs rippled. "That wasn't a slip," I continued. "That wasn't a joke. That's who she is. And I'm done pretending. Ava was trembling. Her voice cracked. It was years ago. I didn't mean it. Didn't mean it? Julia snapped, storming back up front. You said I should be grateful for the pain I endured, that it saved me from a worse fate. I cried in your arms, Ava. You were the godmother. More gasps. Todd, Ava's groom, stood now too pale, lips parted. Ava, he said, his voice barely audible. Tell me that's not you. I was venting. She screamed. It was a private moment. It was edited. It's your voice. Your face. Your words, I said. Stop hiding. You've been doing it your whole life. My father turned on me then, predictable. Really. You've always been jealous. Always undermining your sister. No, I said coldly. I've been paying for her sins. Quietly. Constantly. And now I'm done. That was when the wave broke. One by one, people began leaving. Not angrily. Just silently. Disgusted. Deflated. First Julia's family. Then our Uncle Ben. Then Todd's parents. Then a solid chunk of the bride's college friends, half of whom were probably already texting group chats, sharing the video, uploading it. 54 guests walked out before the band even got to the first song. And Ava just stood there. Mascara running. Lips trembling. Crown slipping. Watching her wedding, her fairy tale, her $70,000 fantasy crumble into ash. I placed the mic down on the table with finality. I hope you saved the receipt for the dress, I said. Then I turned and walked away. And I swear, the silence she left behind was the loudest thing I've ever heard. I didn't go back inside. I didn't wait for apologies, explanations, or the inevitable meltdown. I walked out of that marble palace in my scuffed dress shoes, straight into the parking lot under the blinding glow of the venue's chandelier-like exterior lights, and I exhaled. For the first time in years, I felt oxygen in my lungs that didn't come with a side of guilt. That night, I slept on a friend's couch, the same place I'd been crashing since I sold my apartment for Ava's fantasy. But for once, I slept deep. No stress. No spinning thoughts. No spreadsheet of expenses running through my brain. The next morning, my phone looked like it had been set on fire. 97 missed calls. 132 messages. 3 voicemails from my father. 1 from Ava. And 5 from my mother, all with the subject line, "Call me back immediately." I didn't call back. Instead, I did something radical. I blocked all of them. For the first time since I was 17, I gave myself permission to stop playing the family scapegoat. I wasn't their emotional punching bag anymore. I wasn't their emergency wallet. I wasn't the reliable brother who would always pick up the slack and never raise his voice. I was done, but the world wasn't done with them. By Monday morning, the video had gone viral. It started in a private Facebook group full of extended cousins and family friends. Then someone posted it on TikTok with the caption, "When your bridezilla sister calls you a backup son," and you drop the truth at her $70,000 wedding. 3.2 million views in 48 hours. A Reddit thread followed. Then a BuzzFeed article titled, "Brother Exposes Bride's Cruelty in Viral Wedding Speech," and the internet is applauding. People weren't just on my side. They were cheering. Strangers messaged me, EMTs, veterans, single dads, saying, "I've been the backup son too. Thank you for standing up." Some sent memes. Others offered to buy me a drink. One woman from Canada emailed, "If you ever come to Vancouver, dinner's on me." And forget Ava. But it wasn't all praise. Because Ava and our parents? They were imploding. I heard through mutuals that Todd, sweet, naive, oblivious Todd, called off the marriage the day after the wedding. Apparently, his family was furious he didn't leave on the spot, but the poor guy was in shock. He packed up his things while Ava screamed that he was abandoning her when she needed him most. He left anyway. Ava moved back in with my parents. Her Instagram went dark. She deleted all wedding content. People who'd once kissed the hem of her sundress were now blocking her in public forums. But what broke her, truly broke her, wasn't Todd. It was Julia. Cousin Julia, the one she once mocked during a deeply personal loss, wasn't done. She posted her own video. Calm. Devastating. Honest. "I once believed Ava was my friend," she said into the camera. She held my hand while I cried. She looked into my eyes and told me I was strong. And all that time, she was laughing behind my back. It went more viral than my video. And the tide turned from shock to fury. Ava became a cautionary tale. My parents tried to do damage control. My mother reached out through a friend with a message. "We didn't raise her that way." I laughed when I read it. Because yes, you did. You raised her to believe she could do anything, say anything, and someone else would clean up the mess. You rewarded her for cruelty and punished anyone who dared hold her accountable. You taught her that kindness was optional and image was everything. So no, you don't get to wash your hands now. Meanwhile, I did the unthinkable. I started over. I got approved for a new apartment, nothing fancy, but all mine. I picked out a second-hand couch and a desk from Facebook Marketplace. I started sleeping like a man who no longer carried a family shame on his back. I went to therapy. Yeah, real therapy. For the first time in my life. And I told a stranger how it felt to grow up invisible next to a golden child who never paid for anything, especially not the damage she caused. She said something that stuck with me. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is walk away. So I walked. And here's the kicker. 3 weeks after the wedding, I got a message request on Facebook from someone I didn't expect. Todd's ex-fiancée. Not Ava, the one before her. She wrote, "I know we don't know each other, but I saw the video. I left him because he was too passive, too easy to manipulate. And it turns out I wasn't wrong. He fell for Ava. But seeing what you did, that took guts. I just wanted to say thank you." Sometimes the universe delivers closure in unexpected forms. 6 months later, I stood barefoot in my tiny kitchen, stirring cheap coffee in a chipped mug, looking out over a street that didn't carry their shadows. No chandeliers, no white lies, no suffocating expectations, just quiet. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't holding my breath. I had rebuilt. Slowly, patiently, like a man picking glass shards from his palms after walking through a cathedral that collapsed on top of him. And then my phone buzzed. Blocked number. Voicemail. I shouldn't have checked it. But curiosity is a sneaky thing. It was my father. "Daniel, you've made your point. Ava's been through enough. She lost her job. People won't look at her. You didn't just ruin a wedding. You ruined her life. Are you proud of that? We're family, for God's sake. Come home. She needs her brother." I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my coffee. Come home? They never let me belong there in the first place. They gave Ava the house, the spotlight, the applause, and gave me guilt, bills, and expectations so heavy they nearly cracked my spine. And now they wanted me back? To what? Clean up the ruins of her golden throne. I didn't respond. Instead, I walked to my closet, opened a shoebox from the top shelf, and pulled out the last thing I kept from my old apartment, the wedding invoice binder. $68,000. My name, my bank account, my sacrifice. And still, she had the audacity to call me the backup son. Not anymore. A week after that message, I got something else. An email. No subject line. No name. Just this. "You're not the only one. I was the shadow in my family too. What you did gave people like me oxygen. You burned the pedestal down, and I finally saw myself in the light. Thank you." And then 2 words that hit harder than anything else ever had. "I'm breathing now." It wasn't signed. Didn't need to be. Because I realized this wasn't just about Ava or weddings or family politics. It was about all of us who had been told to stay quiet, to be grateful, to not ruin the mood. I didn't ruin the mood. I ruined the illusion. And in its place, I built something real. My cousin Julia? She cut Ava off. Blocked her. Moved on. Started hosting grief groups for women who'd been through miscarriages, and she tells them the truth now. No more fake smiles. No more pretending. Todd? He moved to Colorado. I heard he's dating someone new, a nurse. Down to earth. Real. Not the plastic, curated perfection Ava used to weaponize like perfume. And Ava? Last I heard, she tried to rebrand herself online. She launched a blog titled From Bride to Broken, My Journey. It flopped. Nobody cared. Because the world saw what I saw for 28 years. Behind the veil, there's nothing. My parents? Still silent. Still waiting for me to crawl back into the role of self-sacrificing son. But here's the kicker. I don't miss them. Not even a little. I filled my space with something better. Peace. Purpose. People who see me, not just what I can give them. And when I walk past the mirror now, I don't see the backup. I see the man who stopped the show, unplugged the illusion, and handed the microphone to the truth. So if you're reading this, if you've ever been made to feel like your voice doesn't matter, let me say what no one said to me for too damn long. You do. And when you finally speak up, make sure the whole room hears it. Because the world doesn't change with whispers. It changes when someone like you finally says, loud and clear, "I'm not your backup anymore," and walks away not broken, but free.